Hello, everybody. My name is Karen from Quantum Healing with Tina and Karen. And with Tina, we're welcoming our dear friend Silviu from his YouTube handle is Inner Knowledge 33. We're inviting him on to just discuss his journey. He's had a BQH tandem session with us, and we're just going to talk about his experience and perhaps some revelations that he's received from that session. So welcome, Silviu.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me, and hello to everyone else.
Yes. So, if you'd like to share like a little bit about your history, like spiritual journey, whatever you feel pertinent to how, where you started and how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's been quite an interesting roller coaster so far. But at first you kind of start out like everyone does. And there's a big point of question for me. Like, was I an NPC back in the day? Was I someone that just was completely unaware and unconscious? Like had no spirit or whatever? And did I ask for it at some point? But I was basically unconscious. I was following my desires as they had been given to me, really, because they weren't mine. Going through life, I had, my whatever professional soccer player dream that I was really rooting for. I'm glad that didn't work out. And then like in 20, well, I woke up around 2016. I started trying to take my power back and trying to manifest. That was my
Mm-hmm.
first little dip in the water of New Age. And then 2020, I started kind of waking more to the Love and Light crew of New Age, where I took a bit of some substances that maybe I shouldn't have taken, and it basically gave me an NDE in which I was very happy to be alive afterwards. So I
Mm-hmm.
very much appreciated my life afterwards, and I saw it from a new perspective, and value the relationships and the people, because I got this kind of perspective, like, you know, what are you so upset about, or what are you so angry about? Like, just that's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of puts you in your place, and you're like, okay, you start becoming a better person. You're kind of high on that bliss for a little bit though, and you're like, wow, this feels good, and then you start falling off, right? And you're like, oh, I got to get
Oh,
back
you
there,
fall
right?
hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it's another tactic of the ego, because when we build ourselves up in the ego, through narcissism, or like, oh, I'm the best. I constantly notice that, like, where people will immediately take ownership for something and say, you see that I gave you such a brilliant pass or something like that. This was just an example that came up yesterday, and without giving another person a chance to thank them for it, but you immediately pointed out to them that did something good for them. You build yourself up, and then something slams you down, and it's like that happens all the time, especially with these entities. They build you up so they can slam you down. um Otherwise there'd be no emotional difference, right? So that's what I was kind of going through, which I was using, you know love and compassion to try to make myself feel better again and get in that state, and basically tearing down all my boundaries and doing whatever I could to make others feel better because of me. Um, but again, it's a covert narcissism. It's a false healing, and I got that reflected to me when I let it take me too far. I was I entered this new age group. It was all about the ascended masters and Jesus, and we were doing all these things, to whatever help 5D or raise the consciousness and decoding and all that, and that basically led me to be manipulated by these entities that were coming through this other person, and their advice and their visions. And it wasn't just one person; there was multiple people in that group, and except for me. I was getting these visions, which I'm glad, because I wasn't fully into it, I guess. Um, so that kind of led me then to what I would call, what I thought was my twin flame relationship. But as I later found out, it was more so a love bite scenario that was engineered by these entities, right?
Mm.
And um, that was you know, that was like my critical inflection point, because then I really started questioning things. Well, how could all of these visions that we received about this person, about this relationship, about my life, that were so positive and that were supposed to be so true, because I dedicated myself, how could it have been false? How could it have been misleading? And then I was like, oh, well, it was those ascended masters, it was those beings. You know, they're not really who they are. And at the same time, what was happening, my mom was actually involved with this other person that does something similar to what Tina and Karen do. Actually, it's exactly the same, I would say. But subliminal regressions, right? In which the person goes and tries to recapture their memories, their lost memories in their subconscious. And she had gone through the same process. She was working with these light beings, and she realized, no, wait, they're actually reptilians using this virtual reality to masquerade as light beings, as false light. And at that point, I'm like, okay, well, if that was a psyop, this is a psyop, this is a manipulation. How many other things down the line, you know, are such a thing? And it leads you to more and more questions, because now you're finally focused on questioning. And it was like the moment I switched, the moment I was able to, because I had a session with that person as well, and removed all these implants, and that it was like a veil had been removed from my eyes. And at that moment, I ran into people like Howdy Mikowski on YouTube, and I'm really grateful for running into you ladies as well, because that started connecting a whole bunch of dots. And kind of next question that came up for me was like, is this out of trauma? Am I really just finding this stuff because now I'm like hurt after this relationship or something, or is is this really true? And I came to the conclusion it has to be at least some of it true, because there are way too many connections happening for it to just be a result that, oh, like I'm hurt, and I've been doing the healing. I've done a lot of healing myself, so we can't just say, oh, you're just hurt, so now you think everything's fake. Yeah, that was a bit long, but yeah, I think I answered the question, right?
Yeah, that's a good so you questioned a lot of your reality, and how did you get into like numerology, like all the stuff that
Okay.
you offer?
Yeah, that my main interest at first was astrology.
Mhm.
I was using that to basically try to understand people, specifically girls. I wanted a very compatible relationship, and I wanted to understand why things weren't working out. And then I checked out numerology. I encountered Pythagorean numerology. I was like, okay, let me try stuff. Iffy. I learned some of that. I learned all the stuff, all the basic stuff you can find online. But then actually, the mentor in the group was like, no, Vedic numerology is the most accurate. And that's something that I was really grateful actually, because it led me to a very accurate occult way of understanding the matrix. Um,
Mhm.
but it wasn't for the purpose, that I thought it would be. It was for the purpose of, again, manipulating me into understanding certain things, but drawing improper conclusions. And now I use numerology. I used to use it to try and help people find their purpose, but now I kind of use it to help people detach from the matrix overlays. Let's say, help people become aware of them and then detach from them.
Mhm. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
You mentioned that you were using, like when all this started for you, you were using substances. Can you tell us what substances you were using?
Yeah, it's just psychedelics like shrooms.
Shrooms.
Yeah.
And you mentioned you had kind of like an NDE type experience. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, because it's funny because it goes with the movie I watched today, but because those guys were like tripping on LSD. Um, so I tried it. I only tried it twice. First time, nothing happened. I was like, what the heck? So then I tried a larger quantity, and I tried it by myself, and I tried it at night. So all the wrong uh, pieces,
Combinations.
combinations, yeah. um, so all of a sudden, I tried at like 10 o'clock at night, and I wake up at 2. I passed out at 12 or 1. That was 1, I think. And at that point, I'm like paranoid. I'm in very, very intense anxiety. And I'm like, what's going on? I can't control my temperature. My temperature would fluctuate from very hot to very cold. I feel like I don't want to be in my skin. I was tremoring, shivering. And
Mhm.
it's funny because I didn't look up these symptoms, but they came up like on TikTok or something. Like those are the 3 common symptoms of a Kundalini awakening. So that makes me really question the Kundalini awakening as well.
Yeah, I bet
Yeah.
he should.
Yeah, and it basically felt like I was stuck in a time loop. I'd been seeing the number 33 repeatedly, and that was kind of making me go a little crazy because I hadn't experienced that ever, and it wasn't like just randomly. It was like a lot, like bad. So that I was seeing that now, and I kept asking, okay, what is it? What is it? But at the same time, it's like I felt this presence near me, like, whoa, okay, maybe I don't want to know what it is. Like, okay, leave me alone. And like I was just stuck inside a minute. It felt like I was stuck in a time loop. And then once the hallucinogen or the what's the word? Hallucinations started, the strain was like the strain of shrooms that I took was a form of like demon strain or something. I don't even know. I didn't even take into account, but I basically started seeing
Oh, that
demons.
doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I started
It's
seeing
getting
like,
worse.
yeah, like horns on everything and tails
Oh
on everything.
God. Whoa,
Like
like real or a cartoon like?
combination, but it looked more real. Yeah.
Oh God, I bet.
Like even just in my imagination, if I would close my eyes, I could see it in my third eye. Um, like I have this picture of a cat on the toilet seat, and I was by the toilet seat a lot, as you can imagine. That night, I would see this freaking demon looking at me.
Oh man.
It was not fun. And once I actually threw up and I closed my eyes, I could see the demons basically coming out in my third eye.
Whoa.
Um, and this happened. There's a lot more stuff to be honest. That's a lot. Throughout it lasted all the way up until 10 in the morning. But I was
Wow.
hearing
So
bells.
it's like 12 hours.
Yeah, yeah. And then even more eerie, the next day there were scratch marks on the toilet, like on the underneath, the base of the toilet. I was
Oh
like,
wow.
oh, those two are connected.
Yeah.
How did this, like, were they actually in the porcelain or how did they look?
Yeah, in the porcelain, like imagine taking your hand and then gnawing at the inside of the toilet where the water sits.
Oh, on the inside of the toilet.
Hmm.
Whoa.
Like where I threw up.
Wow.
I'm
Whoa.
like, I'm pretty sure those weren't there. So
Wow.
yeah, but that
Gee,
led to me
did you
being
take a picture?
implanted. They're still there. I was scared to go to the toilet for like 2 weeks.
I bet. Oh man.
Good thing we have 2 bathrooms in the house.
So you
Wow.
said you were re-implanted? Is that what you said?
Well, I was, we're implanted at birth, but I was basically implanted more during that time, and I think that's what led me to that group as well.
Hmm.
Wow.
Now, when you say you were like re-implanted during that time, what does that mean to you? Like, what did that mean?
So when you take these substances, your aura bursts open, or your crown chakra bursts open, or whatever. That leaves room for all these entities to come in, and that's what had happened. And so I was basically implanted with their implants, their etheric implants on top of what I may have already had, and basically entity attached during that time.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And so then because you're carrying that energy, it creates an attraction point for this group to come into your life. and being connected to even more entities through these ascended masters,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, so you're in this group connecting with these ascended masters, and everybody in this group is like having visions about you being with this specific person who they're calling your twin flame, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, being out of that, like, now you can see how that was like all set up to like push you in that direction.
The thing is, what I've come to realize is that it wasn't just set up at that time, at that level, because what is time, right? Everything's happening simultaneously. It was set up pre-birth, like it was in my astrology. It was there.
Mm.
Maybe not the group. I didn't look for the group, I guess. But it was in my name numerology, the name gematria. It was in my astrology for marriage. Said I was going to get married and get divorced, which I wasn't seeing at the time because I wasn't into the Vedic astrology. There were clues everywhere, like the names. So let me tell you, the person that led me to the group has the same name equivalent in gematria and numerology to the person I married. Then the mentor has the same name numerology as me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was figuring this stuff up while I was in the group, but I was taking it as a good sign.
Right.
Right.
So it was like synchronicities.
Which
Mhm.
most people do when they start making all these connections and are having all these synchronicities come up in their life, they automatically think it's a good thing, that it's leading them in the right direction, right? Like where they're supposed to be on their life path, not understanding that sometimes these things come up in these big ways, in these synchronistic ways. And they might not necessarily be leading you in the direction that's for your highest good, you know.
Yeah, we romanticize everything.
Right. And yeah, so no one really questions the synchronicities, but it's
Right.
good that you had that learning experience and you learned a lot from it, and now and that taught you to start questioning things on a deeper level.
Yes. Yeah. And I remember you saying, like, looking back, you at everything that happened in that group, there was a lot of red flags that you had seen. But then, of course, because it's an ascended master group, we're like, whatever you say, Jesus. Like, if you say it, then it must be true. So at least like from that, I'd like to think, like, for people like who put so much weight on these ascended masters or things that are in a hierarchy or whatever we perceive as hierarchy, to I find that that's so important to know if you're giving your power to that being that is supposedly higher than you, or are you betraying yourself because despite the red flags, you're just like, well, Jesus said it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we override our own judgment.
Right.
Yeah. I think a good sign to go by is if you're yawning a lot, if you're tired. Like I've learned that when you yawn, you're
Mhm.
you're eliminating negative energy. So that means you're taking in a lot of negative energy that you have to keep yawning to keep eliminating it. Also, there's this idea that when you're around a lot of NPCs, and I'm not saying they're NPCs, but NPCs will make you really tired, will drain you of your energy.
Mm.
So that's another common factor.
So were you tired a lot, like when you were
Yeah, that's what I was
interacting?
gonna get to. Yes, yeah. We would do these sessions and I'd find
You're
myself
like yawning for like 8
yawning
hours.
all the time.
Like,
I'm like, no one else is tired? Like, what are you guys doing?
you're like, no, we're not tired. And they're like plugging into you. We feel great.
Great, yeah.
Tell us
Mhm.
more.
Yeah, and I know this came up in our session, that all the decoding I was doing was basically opening up portals, right, for these entities, that because these numbers, these words, they're sigils, they're portals, they're
Mhm.
especially depending on the way you use them.
Mhm. So it was like you were kind of being used by that group to do the decodes to open up or like open up those portals for the entities.
Yeah, it seems
Right.
so. Yeah, because they would ask me, okay, take a word, put it in the system, and then tell me what shows up. I'm like, why can't you do that? I never said that. But, like, literally, okay, take this word, put it in the system, and you get the same thing. Well, no, it's about what you pick up, your intuition. Okay.
Right, because if they were NPCs, they needed your energy as a divine spark being
Yeah,
to power that and open the portal because they can't do it.
Right.
yeah, that's true. It's actually really true.
Or all the entities that are around are like, yeah, Silviu, put it in the system and tell us what it says. With their like lizard tongues.
Right, right. Yeah, and that's why it's a good lesson for discernment. Like, just because someone's like really psychic or really spiritual and they have all these abilities, especially the Kundalini, um,
Mm-hmm.
as it mentions in this book, like Tia and I are both reading, it's not a gift from the true source. It's a gift from the creator of the body and of this universe. There's a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
They put a lot of add-ons.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and once you have that Kundalini, once that Kundalini gets activated within you, that solidifies your lack of free will
That's what I thought, yeah.
because you know, unless you follow the orders of that Kundalini and what it wants you to do, it will torture you.
Yeah, it's like a ticking time bomb.
It will torture you unless you carry out exactly what it wants you to do. And that could be any number of things. Like for one person we know, it's it wants this person to breed, to procreate, to carry this on, to carry on this energy. And because he doesn't want to, it tortures him on a daily basis. So yeah, and I came across a post by a Kundalini master, and that was one of the things he said straight out. You it was basically like, you no longer have free will. You have to pretty much bow down to the Kundalini spirit and do what it tells you, because again, it's like overriding your own free will, your own judgment, because that Kundalini knows better than you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really serving this system. It's just it's also a part of the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like some people don't even have a choice because it like spontaneously awakens in them.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's like it happens more often than not, and people have no idea what they're going through. They could be put in a psychosis or be committed and put in a mental institution and then just drugged and forever put away while it just eats on them.
Yeah.
But I think that's why it's like so important to be aware of this awakening. They put so much emphasis on like, yeah, you want your snake to wake up. I'm like, no, I fucking don't.
Right.
I don't want no snake awake in my body, in my ass. No, that doesn't sound good.
No, it doesn't. It's a major red flag when I was thinking about it.
Yeah, like how it just rises through your chakras, which is another overlay, and then connecting to your third eye. Oh no. It's weird because like sometimes like when we look in the body, like when we do like the RSR clearings and a lot of the time, more often than not, there's a lot of traumas that are stored in the body, emotions and things like that. I think today's session we saw like eggs, like snake eggs. So they're implanting themselves, like pretending to be, one with the traumas in there, only to feed off of, all the stuff that we've suppressed. So yeah, there's a lot of overlays that we have like that come with the physical body or whatever that are come with this. And people have no idea. they activate everything. I'm like, why do you want to activate it?
Yes.
Do you
Right, even the
really
third eye.
yeah, do you
Like
really want to
the
update? Yeah. Like why? I mean, like I get it. When you're in it, it's exciting because you're supposed to do that stuff. So you're supposed to without even questioning it. But
Mhm,
it's so
mhm,
dangerous. It's really dangerous the amount of stuff that people do astral traveling or going and
mhm,
having astral sex because that's like spiritual because it's
mhm,
astral sex
mhm.
with your twin flame or whatever the case is, and having astral babies and going through like I just saw that part in the Eve Lorgan interview with Tony Sayers about like having that ritual marriage on the astral where you're consenting to, demon stuff and opening
Carrying the demon
portals.
baby. Yeah.
Yeah, on the astral. Yeah, a lot of people are opening up so many portals and allowing for these energies to come in here. And I think that's the problem too, why we're seeing such an uptick in demons on this earth plane is because people are opening up these fucking portals,
Mhm.
not knowing that they're opening them because out in the name of spirituality and of, of raising the fucking vibration, you're opening this freaking portal to the other world so that they could come and possess all of
Oh
us.
yeah, yeah, big time. Yeah, because I don't think that's possible if you don't have a physical body. I don't know
Right.
how the astral
Exactly.
potentially works. So they need these people to do that. Yeah,
Oh
because
yeah.
they're
So they
feeding
asked
off
the
that.
smart ones to open them. And then we
Mhm,
if we do have NPCs here, or people like portals, I mean, if you're not conscious about your own physical, you're an open portal. When
yeah.
you're, when you're not taking care of yourself, even like for myself, I could be an open portal, anyone could be. Um, so I mean, if we have like 8 billion people here, that's a lot of portals. That's a lot of energies to come and inhabit each person and all other humans that are going to be born, and even earthbound souls that are not going to cross over because of the amount of entities that are going to keep them bound here.
Yeah, exactly.
So much to consider.
Hmm.
We're doomed.
And I think it's really important to consider, which is what I'm kind of getting into now, what happens once you reach the astral plane and how to maneuver through it so that you can either shoot out or if you're stuck to actually have to go through their process after death, you know what the heck to do.
Yeah.
Do you think do you think we could just will ourselves out? Like if we know that we can will ourselves out, or do you think there's a way in which you can go through the whole process, like follow the light, go on the conveyor belt, go talk to your team, and then be like, okay, guides, thanks for your input. I'd like to go home now. Do you think there's a way to bypass? I mean, like, let's say you go through it, you're on the conveyor belt, and then your consciousness kicks in, like, holy shit, you're on the fucking conveyor belt. Like, can you get out now? Now that you know
Hmm.
you could? Can we?
I
I don't
think
know.
so. I think there's a way to do
Okay.
both, but
Okay,
the
good. Thanks for the hope.
first one, yeah, it implies more of I'm not sure because there's the union that needs to happen between male and female, the hypergamic union, but not sexually or externally that they talk about in the New Age, internally.
Yeah.
And that's the presence within.
Hmm.
But I don't know because this book also says like, hey, like Christ literally came in and died to pay your karmic debt to these archons so you could leave.
Which
So
book are you talking about?
this one, can you stand the truth?
Okay, yeah.
So it's like if you know that, you can say like, hey, no, I don't have to pay anything. I don't want to participate. I'm not doing that, and I'm leaving
Yeah.
because I don't belong here.
Yeah. My worry is that because like I try as much as possible to set an intention to lucid dream because I do feel the key to get out of here is to be lucid while you're out of body so that you can make that conscious choice out of your, to get out. Because like I have dreams and I have no fucking idea what's going on.
I know.
That's the problem.
But the problem with that, because I used to think the same thing, is that when you die, your astral body detaches from the physical body.
How
So
do
you
you know?
can't, I don't know. I'm assuming, but it's an issue.
If it's an overlay, if that's an overlay, then yeah. I'm not trying to be an asshole, but I'm like, how
No,
do
you're
we
right.
know? How do we
I don't know. Yeah,
know?
you're right.
Well, we know in some sense that our spirit leaves the physical body. So whatever it is, the astral body, how many, bodies
How
do
many
we
bodies
have?
do we have?
Bodies. Yeah, a lot of bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we got to press the button, catapult, like out of all our bodies or remove them.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what we're doing here. I think this is why this is such an important incarnation right now. I think we need to be in the physical form in order to free ourselves. And we need to do all of this work of shedding like the astral bodies and whatever other bodies. And like you said, coming into union with that divine spark, with the true awareness, the true essence that we are, without all of these layers, all of these like mental and emotional bodies. And this is like our lifetime to use this as a way to purify, not just from this lifetime, but from all the other bullshit that we've been through here and trauma. So it's really a lifetime to kind of tie up the loose ends and purify. And
Yeah.
so that then we don't have anything that's still holding us here. Or we can't be tricked into, oh, well, you need to come back and redo that, or you need to come back for this person, or like whatever kind of tactics they use, we will have been through the process of healing our past so that we can move forward in a freer way and not be manipulated back in.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some truth to that. Because what people don't realize is these guides or these masters, a lot of them they're actually learning from us because
Yes.
they don't have memories, or whatever memories they have are from their own experience on Earth. There's con men like Saint Germain that just can move from body to body, or have you know infinite amount of time on Earth through their elixir of life. But the guides, like, or people that died, the deceased loved ones, they don't have access to all this knowledge. They just remember what happened in their life, and that's pretty much it. Because, like I was telling Karen, the astral body is the one that holds all our memories. But once it potentially detaches from the physical, it doesn't have access to the brain to think things through, and if it doesn't have access to a higher mind either, in which it's kind of reasoned through all these things in the past life, and it kind of just wanders aimlessly trying to fulfill desires and memories that were bothering it from a past life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about you, Silviu, and like what you were experiencing leading up to your BQH session, why you wanted to have one.
Okay, well, when we get in like February, I was working a job, which turned out to be very connected to what happened in the BQH session.
Yeah, I want to hear about that too.
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was really weird because I knew nothing about it. I have a degree in management, so I applied all over the place. No one took me besides these guys. I was like, yeah, you want to be a property manager? I'm like, sure, I don't know anything about it, but I'll do it. And put through these courses online. It was fairly simple, and I got a job. It was a pretty bad area, I'm not gonna lie. But I show up, and I'm covering for this person, so it's a temporary job. Now the person had left apparently because they were uh, not feeling the best mentally. So that's already a telltale sign of what I'm about to go into. But the job was easy, not much to do. I was kind of sitting around doing minor stuff that anyone could do. And they liked me because they're like, oh, you're very efficient. I did something that was very monotonous. I did it very quickly, and I found a pattern to it and managed to do it quicker than other people. So yeah, we need you. We like you, blah, blah, blah. You're really nice. but it was basically income-based housing, and the people there, basically had their demons, and there was, shootings. There were people getting thrown in the lake. There's apparently had been a bunch of people thrown in the lake, and there's some
Say that
unresolved
again.
cases, unresolved murder cases that happened there.
So you worked on the property of like unsolved mysteries.
Yeah, I wasn't the one solving mysteries, and and there was this one guy. He had a drinking problem, and he had insomnia, so that's kind of why he drank. That probably helped him sleep. But he would only basically pass out when he was cooking. So
Only?
that's a bad combination, right? He was getting his
Yeah,
sleep
a little bit.
while he was frying something, and
Mm.
apparently he almost set the building on fire like
Mm.
2 times. So he felt really bad, and he came down to the office. It was probably like the first or second day I was there. He's like, I just want to clean. I want to make things better in this place. He talked really loud, and he was always kind of drunk. So you could tell he was entity possessed at the time.
Mhm.
Because he's like, hey, who are you? He's like, oh, you're nicely dressed. You're like one of those like 007 type of guy or something. He's like, I'm gonna
Oh,
call you
God.
007. I'm like, all right, bro. And I'm like, you're more like 007, because you're out there cleaning and on a mission. He starts laughing. He's like, yeah, you're right. Like, so I thought that was interesting, but it's weird how the entities will take someone and shove them in your life. I thought nothing of it. I didn't know, but what my curiosity was leading me to you guys with, not just my curiosity, but just finding you guys and enjoying your material and what you guys do. I was like, okay, let me see what's going on in my subconscious. Let me see what's preventing this higher self connection potentially. If there's any implants, any contracts that I need to resolve. I'd gotten an RSR with you guys, which was really interesting, because what immediately came up, Kieran's like, oh, I see Skeletor. Like, right off the bat. I was like, oh, okay, that was the Grim Reaper. What the heck? Yeah. You want me to keep going? I'll just keep talking about what happened with the session.
Yeah, sure.
So then, I have the session, and basically I figured out that I was sacrificed to the Grim Reaper, to Satan or whatever, and there was a contract with the devil, and it was all a tie Freemasonic with Freemasonry. So basically my ancestry had been in these mystery schools, and that's why I was kind of born with this disgust for all these secret societies. And I just knew, like, I got into conspiracy theories really young. I just knew, like, no, these guys are bad. There's something off. And they had been like potentially Freemasonry, and in those types of things, in these societies, and I don't know where I read about it today, but they sacrifice their family members to gain power.
Yeah.
Especially their family members.
Yeah, especially their children, their firstborn.
Or especially their children, the firstborn. Yeah, that was done back in the day in the Bible. It says, it's the same beings, the same entities, like, oh, your first son or something like that.
Yeah.
So I saw this cathedral, whatever, this place, took me back to 1815, and I wrote down some connections that came up after. So it was weird, because after I did the session, we cleared all the contracts and all that. Forgot about it for a little bit, was integrating. Then I was at the gym, I was getting a massage. At this point, my back wasn't really hurting, but my back had been hurting prior, since 2021. And I think it was mainly because from working out, but whatever. So I was sitting getting a massage on this like hydro bed, and I'm looking at the TV, and it was like St. Louis. It was a football game showing the highlights, and the final score was St. Louis versus some other team, so St. Louis, and the score was 18-15. I was like,
Wow.
oh, okay. So that was, I was setting back to 18-15 when that happened. I was like, okay, it's telling me to look deeper or something, but okay, let's see. So I did some crunching. 18-15 is 96 or 69. Now, 69 or 96, when written out as words, equal to 139. St. Louis is equal to 139 in English gematria. Freemasonry and Westworld are equal to 139. Again, all of these are connections. Our video length of the session that I did with Tina and Karen, 1 hour and 39 minutes. My full name is 69 in Chaldean, Saint John the Baptist, which is what the entities were trying to get me to believe that I was this being, and it's who the Freemasons revere. They have a feast day on June 24th for Saint John the Baptist. His name equals 69. Saturn equals 69. Saturn, Grim Reaper. Yeah, and then something came up for, I think Tina, you saw that in the group about
Oh my God,
Saint
yeah.
Gobnet.
Yeah.
It's this woman that was basically using bees to conduct black magic and chase people out of the village. Yeah.
That
And,
was
the session.
wild.
Yeah, go ahead.
When I saw that in group, so this has happened before with this specific person in our group. Like he seems to have like connections that come in from our sessions. But the same day that we had your session, he went to this place, the St. Gobnate place, and posted pictures of it. He took his children there, and there were all these themes that were from your session. So he posted this picture of like the old church or cathedral, like that you saw there with the cemetery in front of it and the flowers that were growing. And there was a well there with water in it. And it was connected to this Saint Gobnate person who also had the connection with the bees and this like magical staff that she used to.
And there's a staff in my session. Yeah.
Yeah. What was the thing with the bees in your session?
I pulled out a beehive out of my third eye.
Ah,
It was
yeah,
sucking
yeah.
my sexual energy from there, apparently.
So I wonder if she may have actually been your mother
Oh.
somehow and like connected in with those secret societies, because the way they speak about her, at least from the surface stuff that I've seen, was that she was very magical, right?
Mhm.
And she had, special powers, but I think she was practicing more of a black magic and was
Yeah.
connected
Sacrificing.
to, yes, like
Yeah, she totally boiled you.
yeah.
I remember that. I was like, ooh, this is morbid. It's getting dark here.
Yeah, because it was your mother in that life who was I guess the darker one out of your parents, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just like we see in Hollywood, the male
Mhm.
actor always has a handler. It's the woman. The women
Yeah.
have the power here, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I had never heard of these people. I never heard of Saint Gobnet or whatever.
Oh, we fucking
Even
didn't
the
either.
staff I saw a staff. It's like literally how it was pointed out. It was swirly and looked like a staff, looked like a question mark. And I always remember that thinking staffs are cool. Like, oh, staff, I want to be like a mage. I want to be like a sage or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, and then one more point. So then after the session, I ended up quitting my job because I'm like, okay, this is too much. Some guy came up. He's like, I need to see this person's mail. I'm like, okay. And I
What?
see some ID. It's like, no, this is my wife. I need to see her mail. You need to give it to me. I'm like, okay, but do you live here? Can you show me that you have the right to see this mail? And he started getting really angry. I pretended to call the cops just to scare him away. He's running through the building saying, I'm going to kill everyone.
Oh my
They made
God.
us leave 2 hours early because for our safety. I'm like, if I have to leave 2 hours early for my safety, I don't think I should be here. So I just quit. And then I looked up 007. So all the stuff that equals 139, if you write out 007, it equals 139. So that's just to show you those beings were
That was
really
great.
messing with me. It was all orchestrated. But the thing
Totally.
about the vision, the session, is like it's a parallel life happening, whether it's the past and the past time, it's happening now.
Yeah.
They're using your power right now. Like they didn't
Mhm.
just because it happened back in the day, it's happening right now.
Right.
And I showed or I recommended these ladies watch the movie Source Code. If you haven't seen that, check that out. It's pretty interesting. It talks about like the consciousness transfer as well.
Yeah. And we saw that like because of that sacrifice, your consciousness had been fractured into all of these many different parts, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, my one consciousness was here, and another consciousness was there, and whatever, in these qubit forms.
Yeah.
And they're using it against me or for their own benefit.
Yeah. There was so much symbology that came through your session. And I think it's so interesting how all of these things, like, I mean, they really fit together and made sense after that session, like your connection to John the Baptist and Saturn and the Grim Reaper, like all of these things that were kind of just standing there alone, not understanding how they were connected, kind of all came together for a more cohesive understanding of why, like, you kept seeing all these things and all this symbology like was coming up to you without any real connecting parts. It all kind of came together into a more cohesive understanding and really understanding how you've been manipulated throughout your lifetime. What I think too about like the beehive, maybe that was also connected to your mother from that lifetime somehow, with her connection with the bees. Because I don't think that was just random, like
No.
that.
No,
Like that
it's a
was
big
very specific.
Yeah, she's like the queen bee.
yeah, maybe. It's a big Masonic thing, the bee thing. Yeah, and the queen bee is also like revered. But the song "I'm a Bee" by Will I Am.
No.
Oh
I'm a
yeah.
bee. I'm a bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's referencing
Mm-mm.
bees. It's basically getting people to say, "I'm a worker bee. I'm a worker bee." Yeah.
Mm.
Interesting. And Beyonce is called the Queen Bee.
Oh yeah.
Queen Bee.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone's up to date.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
and aren't her followers called the Beehive or something like that?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's taking energy from all of them.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah. Yeah. We've seen that come up specifically for her in other sessions before. Yeah.
Yeah. Even was removed from our fields, like when we've had our own RSR done
Mm-hmm.
with the toxic feminine, or no, it had to do with
It
the
was
crone,
Lilith.
the maiden, and the
Yeah.
Okay.
Lilith
I'm glad I don't
energies.
go to many concerts.
Yeah.
don't.
Not anymore.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so were there any other, so just to clarify, like this St. John the Baptist thing for people who don't know your backstory with that. Do you want to explain what was happening there?
So this connects back to the relationship because it started with the group, or it started really with these healings that I was doing with, again, Metatron or whoever was coming through, and they say they were eluding it, but one person just flat out came and told me like, oh, they're talking about the Baptist waters. Can you guess who they're talking about? I was like, oh, John the Baptist. They're like, yeah, you were John the Baptist. I was like, what? Okay. So that was, inducing me to believe that I was that person. And then, like, oh, she's my twin flame. Okay, well, let me then look up who the wife of John the Baptist was. Eerily enough, I buy the book, and there's the wife of John the Baptist on the cover, and I swear it looks just like her, just like my relationship. And I was like, oh wow.
Did you look like John the Baptist?
I don't know. I was like, I did not look very good.
You're like,
I don't
nope.
know.
So it's not me.
I don't know, because at the end of the book, it's like, and the next incarnation will be born of brown hair, brown eyes, and in Eastern Europe. I'm like, what? Okay.
So broad.
No, yeah, but it's like still like kind of specific, it gets you thinking like, wow, that's
Yeah.
and she looks like her, and so it's like it's pretty easy trap to fall into because it's got to be true.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a trap that so many people fall in. I mean, you hear spiritual people saying all the time that they're the incarnation of this queen or Cleopatra or Jesus or like whoever.
Yeah,
Like you
and they
hear it all
fully
the
believe it.
right. Because these entities make them believe it. Like they feed that to them.
They feel
as,
special.
Right, as a way, because they're always targeting the inner child. And with traumatized people that are drawn to spirituality a lot of times to escape their pain, right? They don't want to feel their trauma. They want to be in those states of bliss like you talked about. And they just want to bypass everything else to feel better. So these entities will feed to them to their inner child who wants to feel special because it's a child, that they're the incarnation of Jesus or whoever, insert special person here, it doesn't matter. And the entities will feed on their ego, trying to make them feel special, telling them that they have a special mission, that they're going to help all of these people. And that's how they create the opening to get in. And once they're in, then they start the real fuckery. Then they really start taking over that person and doing what they're there to do. And sometimes they will even send those people into like a psychosis, and those are the people that will end up in institutions thinking that they're Jesus, but there's a much more subtle thing that happens in the spiritual community where those people then will go forward and have a platform and be channeling or sharing their messages or whatever, and allowing those entities that they are hosting to hook in to their followers. And
that's what was supposed to happen to me.
Right.
Yeah, I even got in this other session talking to my guides by this channeler, and they're like, well, you don't have to talk to us through this person. You can just do it yourself. You can channel us yourself. Yeah, and looking at my astrology and kind of putting the pieces together, I was probably supposed to get this big following and be under their control and channeled entities through me towards them, through them. Then.
Yeah, people mean well in the beginning, and then after that it gets hijacked but yeah, it's really unfortunate that it works like that.
Yeah,
especially when people would just want to genuinely help people.
Because the thing is, I don't feel like we have any sort of grandiose spiritual mission here. So they have to insert one for us. They have to say, hey,
we gotta fight the
we'll give you
war.
one.
All we're trying to do is get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Show me the door.
Yeah. Because it's even happening at night. I mean, you go to sleep, you wake up tired. Oh, well, why am I so tired?
What is that?
Oh, well, you were fighting a galactic Federation battle for Arcturians, and you needed your assets
to raise the vibration.
Yeah, that's a big one that they do. They tell you that you didn't sleep well, not because you're being like blasted by 5G and entities or being attacked, but because you were on a special mission to raise the vibration of the earth and save the children from the underground tunnels.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah.
It's still happening.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That was a big thing.
Yeah, still happening.
I'm still, that's actually something I never thought about afterwards. Like,
because it just disappeared. It disappeared. I mean, like looking back at what happened in 2020, everyone stayed home. We couldn't move. We had to be quiet. Let the white hats do the job for us. So we waited at home like chumps, watching documentaries and YouTube and waiting for those cues to fucking drop.
Mhm.
And even if they did drop it, I didn't understand shit. But what
Nope.
that code was saying, that was a code I did not fucking never understood it. So yeah, and then they're like, don't worry, there's gonna be a lot of underground, don't worry, Tom Hanks is dead. I'm like, great,
Yeah.
glad, because what the fuck does that have to do with my life? And John F. Kennedy's gonna come back, and Princess Diana. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, great, amazing. Like, we'll get our med beds. Don't worry, you don't have to pay your bills because Nasara's coming. Financial freedom for all.
Oh, I know, right?
Don't get your
it.
yeah, don't get your cancer checked because the med beds are here.
Yeah, I think they went too far in their
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, if we've made med beds, if the fucking med beds are coming, then why are you forcing me to get a vax?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway, everyone
Yeah,
got
that's
their
why-
vax. We just watch documentaries and people channeling, and
Mhm.
whoever the white hats are, the patriots, don't worry, Trump won. He's coming back to office. It was just all of that stuff while we were
That's
just
still
waiting.
happening. That's still
Yeah.
happening.
It's still
And
going,
they're
yeah.
like, oh, there's a
happening.
little earthquake going on. Or like, yeah, because they're burning all the underground tunnels.
Right.
You could see that one on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's crazy how much. After a certain point, it was interesting in the beginning of the year. Like I would say about March, April. Watched a couple of good documentaries that were a good distraction. And then after that, you're like, wait a minute. Nothing's happening. I go, if Tom Hanks is dead, how come he like came out with 4 movies? like what's happening?
Yeah, that one got me too. That one really got me too.
I'm like, wait a
Like,
minute.
oh, it must be
Forrest Gump 2.
pre-recorded.
What's happening? Yes.
Well, no, because it's got to get worse before it gets better so that the people wake up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
it
why.
got
They're just
worse.
pretending. Tom Hanks is really dead. It's a clone, and they're just pretending.
Yeah, so then everyone's rooting for it to get worse, right?
Yeah.
They want it to get worse. Yeah, they're like,
okay,
let's
bring on
everyone's
World War
waking
III.
up. Yeah, we've won. We've already won.
Mhm.
I don't know what we were winning. Like, we're just
Everyone
like,
just
yeah, we
wants to win.
won. What did we win? But it was very confusing because though, on the online community, like we're all trying to root for the same shit, of course, we all want to win. But it wasn't reflecting at all in my outside world. People were still walking outside with masks on, driving alone in their cars with their masks on. All my family members got vaccinated. Like nothing was changing in my world. So I'm like, well, maybe Canada's a little slow. Maybe it's just my country.
It's not 5D yet.
Yeah, we're not 5D yet.
It's 5G.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, we're all in our fucking basements, like watching all this stuff while they're installing 5G everywhere outside.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And getting ready for the real new Earth.
Yeah, the virtual world. Meta.
Yeah, see, I made a bit about that. It's either virtual astral realm or virtual reality. Take your pick.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no good choice.
No, but I feel like that's what happened is that the people who would usually stand up against these things were waiting for a savior to come and do, or was doing the work that they didn't stand up when they were supposed to. And then they just put on a bunch of psyops everywhere for people to think that there was some hope.
Yeah.
But it were all distractions.
At this point, you want to make metaverse, you can make metaverse 2.0, 3.0. I don't care. You want to blast the earth with an asteroid, go for it. I don't belong here. I won't be returning. I am done. What am I supposed to do about it? Like, who am I supposed to fight? I'm not gonna go and fight
exactly. Exactly. I think that was it too. It's like, they put so much emphasis on like raising the vibration of the collective, but
and saving the earth and like that
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I think that again, there's like so many different channels where people get pulled in. And
Mhm.
that's one of them, you know, like having to somehow save the earth. And I'm completely disconnected from that now. I'm completely disconnected from the collective and like all of that kind of stuff. Like I'm solely focused on getting myself out of here. And that's it. Like this place is
How would you want to be
designed.
connected to the collective? They're all traumatized.
Right.
We're all
Right. You
implanted
can't
and traumatized.
you can't carry that weight because again,
Yeah.
like I said, like the people who are in my world, that's part of the collective and there's no fucking budging there. So I'm like, how the hell am I going to carry everybody else if this is just like 20 people in life
Can't
in
carry
my
one
world?
person.
I
You
can't,
can only
yeah, I
carry
can't even
yourself.
take care of myself.
No, you can't carry
I can't even carry myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that was a huge awakening, another awakening of like, okay, this is just really fucking dumb now. Everything is
Yeah.
just dumb. Everybody's dumb.
Well,
They've dumbed us down so hard.
it's really incredible to see how the brainwashing process works, especially seeing it like within the spiritual community. Like you had kind of a little taste of it, Silviu, like when you woke up and fell into that group and things like that. But and you came out of it pretty quickly. Some people stay there for decades, you know, and they
Right.
really buy in to all. I mean, you know, people have been talking about the ascension and new earth for decades.
The event since 2003. And I was like, oh my God, you've been waiting that long. You're still talking about it. That was it. You know, after like 3 months or so, I was like, they kept pushing the date back. And I'm like, okay, like how much more are you going to push the date? Like, when are the aliens coming to get me? I'm
Oh, you
waiting.
don't wanna ask that.
Right. But you don't know that at the time. You're just
Yeah.
like, get me out of here, the shithole.
But
But
there are
Yeah.
still people waiting for that. They're waiting for the aliens to come and pick them up on their ships. Like that's still a thing too. Like all of these things are still a thing. It's very ramped up.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
there's like new agents every day. You know?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because a lot of people have built, like those that became really popular during the pandemic, have built their entire identity around those channelings of the
yeah,
event
that's the problem.
coming and all that. And then how can they go back against that and be like, oh, sorry, that was bullshit. That was
Yep.
I was channeling entities, or I was channeling reptilians.
And that's why they pander to your ego, because most people never go against their egos. They never have the conviction to actually question, hey, am I wrong? Could I be wrong?
Right. Right. And that's the other programming too. They
Yeah.
program you. There's so many deep programs in there never to question the authority, or because that's
Yeah.
how we live here, through authority or through different layers
Mhm.
of
And if
hierarchy.
you've noticed, it's very similar to the Bible. I was
Mhm.
talking to Tina before we got on about like Armageddon. The
Yeah.
event is just Armageddon. They're just, people in spirituality say, I'm not religious, but then you go and promote the event, and all this is the same thing. It's the same scenario.
Yeah. It's just not called the Bible.
It's repackaged.
Repackaged.
It's repackaged because the agencies knew that there was going to be an awakening, right? Like
Mhm.
it's been prophesized forever. And the energy is here to help stimulate and awaken people. And so what they did was they set up these like tunnels for people to go into. And the one of the biggest parts of this whole psyop was hypnosis sessions.
Oh yeah.
That is how a lot of this
Mm-hmm.
information got spread, and spread quickly through people like Dolores Cannon and her books. And
Mhm.
then Allison Coe.
Those reptiles went wild. Yeah, Allison Coe stuff too. All of that.
You guys ever seen that one TikTok channel?
Oh, we don't
But
watch TikTok.
I know maybe you came across your source of information at one point. But there's this
About
lady that has a zoo of reptiles, and all she does is take care of these reptiles, and she's like probably reptile possessed because she's like enjoying it. Like these reptiles are ferocious, crocodiles, snakes, whatever. And my ex-wife, she was like really into that. Like, this is
I
a
bet.
big red flag. Like, what the? Especially people that like have snakes or things like that in their living whereabouts. It's like, dude, that snake is just sizing you up. It's a snake.
Right. Yeah, no, I never understood that either.
Yeah. Me neither.
No.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I don't know why I thought
Wow,
about
that's
that.
interesting.
Yeah, you're talking about the reptiles, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they're everywhere.
It's
Mhm.
like it's a sign it's showing you like, hey, maybe there's something going on in my etheric field that's influencing me towards these things if I'm constantly
Right.
attracted to this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really important point to make, and something that we see often, when things start showing up in your life, in your physical reality, that that are like obstacles that keep showing up. Like, for instance, we just had a clearing with one lady who all of her issues started with seeing spiders in her house.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And then it was like a snowball effect that she experienced. So, like, her husband died, and then she got in this really bad car accident. And it was just, and then she got bit by one of those spiders, and the bike got infected. And it was just like this snowballing thing that was happening. So,
Mm-hmm.
when when something like that, when you like see spiders in your house, number one, that's a big red flag that you need an energy clearing, right? Because
I
what
thought so, yeah.
what shows up in our physical reality is a reflection of what's going on energetically
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
most of the time. Yeah, and if you let that go, it will snowball into bigger and bigger things.
Yeah, because reptiles, spiders, insects, whatever those things called, what are praying mantises or insects, but um, those are basically etheric templates, copies, and they're showing up. That means their presence is near.
Mhm.
Flies, especially flies.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
One
Mhm.
time I had an outbreak of flies in my apartment that literally came out of nowhere. I woke up one day and there were like 100 flies in here.
Oh, that's in Westworld. That's weird.
Is it?
That's crazy.
No, we
Yeah,
didn't get to that episode.
you didn't get the episode. The flies start coming out of the guy.
Yeah.
His mouth.
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I had to do a clearing. Yeah, especially insects.
Well, yeah, that
insect
happened that time. Remember that we were watching a movie while we were in bed, and then like you felt something on your head,
oh gosh.
and then you're just like, oh, what's that? Like whatever.
Oh, I
And
can
then
tell Tina loves
and then
insects.
no, and then we turned
No,
the phone,
God.
like we turned on the light to what was there, and there was a fucking big ass mama spider there, and we jumped out of
Oh.
bed. We're like screamed, rolled out of bed. You're like, get it up!
Oh God.
I guess
Even
you're the
the
one
other thing too, but and another time that happened, we were also in bed watching something, and same thing. I think it was a cockroach.
Oh my
Remember?
God.
Oh.
Yes.
That was another one too. That
Yeah.
happened 2 separate occasions.
It
with
was
us.
like a portal opened and they dropped out onto us.
Yeah, wild. The time that saw that spider, there was spiders at your house, which I've never seen before. I remember they were just random places in the apartment. Really weird. But
that
yeah, go
actually
ahead.
was happening to me too. While I was in my relationship,
Mm.
cockroaches and insects would appear out of nowhere. She'd
Nuh-uh.
be like, "Oh, that's my deceased father playing with me."
Oh,
I'm
fuck
like,
no.
"What the-
Hell
what
no.
demon?"
Nobody's there. Oh, hell no. No, ma'am. Get out of my bed. Annulment. You could go play with your dad outside. Get okay.
Yeah, I'm like, what does this got to do with me? I don't want to. I don't want part of this.
Like it's like holding on to like the little legs. Thing. Oh no, 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 no. No. I live
You
in a
know, there's
basement apartment, but I have spiders all the time, but I know when they're not correct, when they're not right. I know the
oh, yeah.
spiders of the basement and I know spiders of the demons.
Mhm,
I could tell the
mhm.
difference. Yeah.
Honestly, I think they can materialize. I just
Mhm.
like they're allowed to materialize in the underworld apparently. That's where they were given permission. But like these things, they think they just materialize out of thin air
No, they
sometimes.
do. They do. I've seen it.
Mhm.
I've seen it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never, besides that, I think it's 1 or 2 times, I've never seen a cockroach here. Like that's not,
It's
and
not
they
a
were the
thing.
big ones.
Mm.
Yeah, it's not a thing here. So, and the spider too. I've never, ever, ever seen a spider like that around
That
here.
was 3 spiders in your apartment that one visit I had.
Yeah.
The one that fell on your head, the one that was walking under my legs when I was sitting on the floor, and the one in the bathroom.
Yeah, because that was the time that Lilith was around.
Yeah, the Beyonce time.
Yes.
Sounds fun.
Oh, great. 360. Yes. Yeah, true. Well, so what do you hope to gain? Have you found any other shifts in your life after the session, or revelations, or things that you're like, okay, I feel a little better here in this part of my life, or more at ease, or anything
So the
like
thing
that?
that actually was freaking me out is that my back started hurting a lot. The pain started becoming more emphasized.
Mm.
I don't know if that was after a workout or, but I didn't do anything really differently. But it went away now. Not gonna lie, it's a lot
Oh,
better
good.
now. But the pain was like daily. It was freaking me out because that wasn't normal. And Tina
It's almost
mentioned
like
that
it
it
had
could
to
have been,
leave out of your body, like it was
yeah,
integrating out, perhaps.
it was coming to the surface, yeah, and
Mm.
I had to really deal with it at the time. So I ended up fasting. I ended up doing some stuff. I don't know. Just I stopped working out too.
Did you
That
figure
did
out what it
help.
was?
No, not really.
Okay, it's okay. Well, that's good that it's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
It could have been energies moving out from the session. Did we address any back issues in your session?
Yeah, we did. I ended up taking the plate out.
Oh, right.
Oh, okay, so that could have been it. Like, I mean, moving itself out in the physical.
Oh yeah, maybe. True, you're right. It
Hmm.
happens in the etheric first. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it just has to
In the astral.
manifest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh,
True.
interesting.
Yeah. Well, that's good that it's gone.
Honestly, it's not fully gone, but it's a lot better now. It's like it's
Okay.
getting better.
Sometimes what happens is like we'll remove something and that will uncover something else underneath of it,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
like
maybe
I
I
would,
just took off the cover.
The cup. Yeah, that's the. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah. So you can like scan that area just like we did in your session and see what comes up for you. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
use your imagination. It's really all in your imagination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, what else do you want to tell us, Sylvia? Where do you see yourself moving forward? How do you see yourself moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know. I've really been I've really been just detaching from everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do anything. Like I quit that job. Like, whatever. I just make money to make money. I don't care. I don't have any lofty goals, desires. I just honestly, I don't even know what to do anymore. I don't see anything. All I'm doing is just like, hey, what do I got to do after death, or what do I need to do internally, spiritually? I don't even like even my desire for relationship that went away too. It's like, I don't care. I don't less people to be attached to in this life. You don't need to. Honestly, it makes it harder when you really love someone. Like it's hard because like, oh, are we gonna meet again?
Let's hope not. At least outside of the arena.
Outside of the arena, yeah.
I know.
Thank
That's the thing. It's just like, oh, Darren. Like you're outside of the arena, you're like, oh, Karen didn't make it.
Oh, Karen, you really got your cards on your face, huh? No
Coping.
bluffing.
No.
No, you'll make it. We'll all make it. I feel like because that's the point I was trying to make, or I was gonna make, that this, it talks about this in the Bible. This we see this happening with time speeding up. This matrix is ending, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The timelines, whatever, even in the ways they talk about the 5D Earth splitting from the 3D Earth, that's happening because this realm is coming to an end. Everything's speeding up. The universe is expanding faster and faster and faster, kind of to this final point, final event, potentially, even.
Yeah, it's sucked up into the VR.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right.
Well, at least a lot of the consciousness is going there already, or are already there, that we've seen so far in sessions. Legit consciousness stuck.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are right to some degree that this world is closing because the other world is opening, and
the digital world.
Yeah, trapped forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed in that movie Source Code, but it mentioned 8 again, that his reality was 8 minutes. All he had was 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And then they're showing
infinity.
Number 13. Yeah, yep. They're showing the number 13 in the background, but they never mentioned it as well. And then in the 1899 show, again, it was, what was it? Something to do with 8. What are you talking about? It was 8 times or whatever. But it was the 12 simulation going on 13.
Yeah.
And it was connected to the 8 as well. But the 8 is, the infinity, the thing, the loop closing.
Oh, yeah.
And the reset happening. Yeah.
Yeah. Signs everywhere.
Yeah.
I really need to watch 1899 again. That was really good.
Oh, you liked it?
Yeah, I loved it. And they even like the ending, a spoiler alert if anyone hasn't seen it yet. It's like, well, but the ending where they wake up in, like, first of all, there's the whole pyramid there the whole time, right? And then in the end, they wake up in the pods.
Yeah. But I think that's what they want you to think, because they want you to get on those ships with the aliens.
Right. Right.
And be on the Prometheus or whatever.
Right.
Right.
And
exactly.
if you noticed, that pyramid was also in Source Code. Did you see the pyramid behind the guy from Westworld, Bernard, in the final scene? It was the same black pyramid, the Tetractys.
Was it?
Yeah. Go watch the ending
Wow.
again. And they used Bernard, of course.
Yeah,
in Westworld.
Yeah, wasn't he almost like the same character in that show?
Yep. The creator, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, he
designer.
was a robot in the
Oh,
Westworld.
no, he was a robot. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was like the scientist guy
Like
who worked
Pet.
with the architect. Yeah.
Yeah. He was modeled after that guy. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. He always kind of plays that role, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something to him.
Yeah, I think there's some connection with the pods and the ships and the aliens for sure.
Yeah. Because in the session, in your sessions, there's always an alien there managing the
Yes.
pod. Right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And in Bonnie Jennings' NDE, she met with aliens too. First she woke up in the pod, then she went to the pyramids, and then she met with aliens who took her to Orion. So it's like a whole loop.
Full circle. Yep. Yeah, they want you in those pods.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Yeah.
All right, Silviu. Well, it's really been lovely connecting with you. Where can people find you if they want to reach out?
Find me on YouTube at Inner Knowledge 33. That's my personal YouTube channel. I've been posting a lot. I have a Twitter too and a TikTok, but you'll find all those links in unison with that somehow. You'll figure it out.
You're like, if
You'll
you find
figure
me,
it
it's meant to
out.
be.
Yeah, it's meant to be.
Are you still
Yeah,
giving readings or anything?
Oh yeah, I am doing that. That's you can find that link in there's a pinned YouTube video on my channel showing how I do readings. So there's a link there, and I still do readings. I found that all the people. Oh, I forgot to mention this one person. Should we talk about her?
Yeah.
So I find that all the people that come to me for readings are connected in some way, have some sort of thing. They're usually Christ consciousness, if we can consider it that, are on the path. So there's been some interesting people that have come my way, but this one person that I met through Twitter, she actually works at this very Masonic bank. It's like shaped like an owl. Lots of Masonic stuff in her life, and she would have really interesting dreams as a child. One specifically of the Grim Reaper, basically eating the skin off her bones, and connected with her a little bit. I don't know what she took from mine. She's a very aware individual, very much so a critical thinker, and makes good connections. Yeah, I recommended her, you guys to her, so we'll see if she reaches out or whatever. But really interesting that those people still come towards you. I don't know if she was like sent towards me or like she needed to hear something or whatever, but there was a connection made there. Really big sync.
That's crazy.
Yeah. That's
That's creepy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope she reaches out to find more about what's going on there, because it definitely feels like a generational thing that's happening. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. All righty. Well, I will link all of your stuff down in the description, and that way people can find you easily.
Thank you, Tina. Very kind.
All right, Sylvia, just hang on for a sec. We're just going to say goodbye to everyone and thank you for being here. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.
Peace.